One of the most requested desires as of recent memory is without a doubt a modern port of Silent Hill 1. For years, it has been seen as a pipe dream, as much of the efforts to see such a worthwhile and proper platform serve as a good substitute, instead of needing to spend lots of money on not only original hardware, but also on an original retail copy. Just to experience this title as a silver lining is undoubtedly a hassle and a privilege not many people can afford. Other methods to experience Silent Hill other than the original hardware are technically a possibility on other platforms, but this is from a bygone era when the PlayStation 3, PSP, and PS Vita were still relevant and had efforts to port and emulate these PS classics onto their catalog. But unfortunately, the same argument is also applied here, and needing to make such an expense and afford this original hardware is an inconvenience and not a reality many are willing to adjust to. With this context, the reality of wanting a solution to a long-term port to a modern platform of Silent Hill 1 was always seen as impossible, due to not only its lack of proper preservation on a modern platform that could sustain the longevity of its inclusion of the hardware it supported on, but rather the difficult process of porting PS1 games onto modern systems due to hardware and software differences. This will not only see the necessity of undergoing significant code rewrites due to the PS1's written assembly language, but also the custom graphics and audio hardware not standardized for modern PC components. In short, porting not only a PS1 game, but porting Silent Hill 1 has always been an arduous task that remained much of an inevitability to truly experience this beloved classic in this day and age. However, while all seemed hopeless and lost, behind the scenes, unbeknownst by many, the efforts by lead developer, Vatuu, and over 50 contributors from GitHub have dedicated the past couple of years in decompiling Silent Hill 1 onto PC. This would be termed as the Silent Hill Decompilation Project. This is an ongoing in-progress decompilation of the 1.1 US release of Silent Hill on the PlayStation 1 that aims to reverse engineer the 1.1 version of Silent Hill into readable C source code. In doing so, this would allow the developers to reconstruct the game's original source code from scratch to its original language. To put it simply, decompilation generates a human-readable source code through reverse engineering to match the original ROM, so the code can build a one-for-one recreation of the original code. Why this is important is because once the source code is finished at 100%, such as Silent Hill for the PlayStation 1, this would mean that the compiler could read the recreated code matching with the original source code of the original ROM. This is a notable feat in itself, as much of the decompilation projects we've seen previously, such as Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, or Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, allow for developers to make these titles now accessible onto modern platforms, such as the PC. The same notion applies to Silent Hill 1, which is nothing short but exciting, as it is now possible to see a PC port. It's important to preface that this is by no means confirmation of a PC release, nor should there be the expectation of one expected anytime soon. Although, it is now not a matter of if, but rather when an unofficial open source PC port can be expected. With a hypothetical PC port of Silent Hill 1, we can see such benefits of higher uncapped frame rates, such as a solid 60 frames per second, better optimization for modern hardware, 4K resolution, 16:9 widescreen support, modding support, mouse and keyboard modern dual analog controller support, and quality of life improvements. Essentially, this would allow for a full-fledged modern experience of a PC port to allow for lots of customability to enhance your experience. Above all, a proper means of preservation would now be possible long-term, allowing anyone to experience the original without constraints. While there's another alternative that makes Silent Hill 1 possible to play on a modern platform, such as an emulator, the most preferable and consistent being DuckStation, this doesn't equate this as the overall best experience, as it does come with its issues, primarily related to crashes and graphical glitches during specific cutscenes, if you try to customize the settings to modernize the experience. As of this time, there are 3 prominent game-breaking bugs that crash during gameplay or cutscenes, such as the cutscene when meeting Dahlia at Balkan Church due to enabling PGXP culling correction and widescreen rendering. The bridge control room can crash when interacting with the control room and lowering the drawbridge due to enabling PGXP geometry correction. Finally, after defeating Sybil in Lakeside Amusement Park, the cutscene that plays with Harry confronting Elastic Gillespie causes a crash or audio desync due to PGXP geometry correction and CPU overclocking.
Everything is ready.
Additionally, graphical corruption, such as missing textures and model glitches, audio looping with the radio playing repetitively after loading into a new area, even after trying to disable it in the inventory, or frame rate issues as the original Silent Hill was unstable at 30 FPS. And to achieve a solid 60 FPS, you need to overclock the CPU, which can cause issues. Now, obviously, the simple solution to negate these aforementioned issues would be to toggle off these settings, but that would only defeat the purpose in wanting to provide yourself quality life improvements to allow for such a modern experience, proving the point of the issues experienced on an emulator that wouldn't be present on a native PC port, which wouldn't need to see troubleshooting or tinkering of your settings to make it run smoothly. Most importantly, preservation of the original Silent Hill is now a reality. Accessibility of the Silent Hill games, to put it lightly, is not convenient. Of course, there are means of acquiring these titles through recent efforts, such as Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, Silent Hill 3 PC Fix, and the digital storefront, GOG, with Silent Hill 4. But the point here is that these are titles that require lots of attention, time, and care given by developers to make preservation a possibility, which took years to finally make these titles remotely functional and playable. And even when they are playable, it does require newcomers to learn the tutorial and guide to understand how to install and properly run the application. But because of this recent effort to push Silent Hill 1 onto modern hardware through decompilation, it is now unearthed with its written source code to be worked on by someone or a group of people to be finally preserved, so anyone can finally experience this title without any issues or constraints with a learning curve in question that makes it difficult to access and play. It does make me wonder that with the completion of a decompilation, if GOG would consider collaborating with the team that worked on this project to make it accessible on the digital platform, as a native port that can be bought and downloaded DRM-free onto your computer. GOG have been pretty vocal about preserving Silent Hill 1 through GOG Dreamlist, a community-driven initiative by GOG that allows users to vote for classic and older games they'd like to see released on their platform. Silent Hill 1 is amongst the highest of votes from the community that has been called to be brought to PC, with an overwhelming 116,157 votes, which only gives incentive for this notion of a PC port to be brought on its platform. Of course, this would also need to require conversations with the original IP publisher and owner, Konami, to allow for such preservation. It seems that this would be a great opportunity to allow for such convenience and accessibility, but that's something we haven't yet seen, as it's been years since Konami has made a proper Silent Hill remastered collection of older titles ported onto modern hardware. Truth be told, I think of all the Silent Hill games, this one deserves it the most as it's had the longest time frame and difficulty in getting properly ported onto modern platforms. Not to say, it's been deliberately neglected by Konami in the previous efforts to outsource the licensing rights to developers known for porting games through remasters, such as the Silent Hill HD collection, but because of the known complexity of PS1 technical limitations and design choices, requires a valiant effort to reverse engineer and rebuild the source code from scratch. And waiting for a PC port is now the next step that we will have to patiently wait and see. Until then, I'll make sure to keep an eye out on an upcoming announcement of an ongoing development to port Silent Hill 1 natively to PC, and to make news and updates accordingly. But please feel free to let me know your thoughts. What do you think of a potential Silent Hill 1 PC port? Do you have interest in running Silent Hill 1 natively with enhancements and quality life improvements, as well as preserving this beloved classic on the comfort of your PC? Or would you rather stick with emulation? Why or why not? I'd love to hear your thoughts and discuss them in the comment section below. But until then, that will be me. As always, thank you for watching, please have a great day, stay safe, and goodbye.